Hello, BookTube. I didn't upload a video yesterday, a fact that several dozen of you commented on various means, very gently, with a great deal of patient understanding, as is your way. I did film a video, a nice, tedious, ranty video, but I just refused to upload. And I had discussions going on all day and also writing to do. So I just never got around to doing anything else. And, by the time my evening happened, the evening's full of work and caretaking senior citizens, so it just didn't happen. I'm going to make up for it today, and I thought I would start with, of course, because I didn't make a mail haul video, I also didn't feel right opening the mail, so I just left it. So we'll do that now. That'll be the start. And somewhere buried in this pile here, there is a box, so we'll do our best to end with a box. I've got my chili dog is right next to me. That's the blob you see at the bottom of the screen. It just won't leave me at all. And the reason for that is something that those of you who know me in real life will already know, which is it's another freakish quality of Steve. My resting body temperature is higher than yours. And they love it. Dogs love it. All right, so let me see here. What have we got here? We start out with a made-up story. Okay. This is Setting Free the Kites. Comes out in February by Alex George, who is cutie patootie. He's a lawyer and an author. He was born in England and lives in Missouri. That's a downgrade, isn't it? Robert Carter and Nathan Tilley are unlikely friends. Robert is cautious and reticent, while Nathan is curious and daring. Yet when they meet on the first day of school at a coastal Maine town in 1970s, they form a bond that they can come to depend on as tragedy strikes both their families. Okay. So it's a made-up story called Setting Free the Kites by Alex George. And that starts us off. I have no idea where I'm going to put these things. I've got a freezing cold dog right here. And there's so many books that here, let's start a pile right there. Throw those on the floor. All right. One of these asbestos packages. Let's see what's in here. Oh, look at that! This is a first, BookTube. I have coveted these things from afar and never got one in the mail, much less a whole pile of them. These are the very short introductions from Oxford. You might have seen some of them in bookstores. Tiny little things, basically Wikipedia entries. Oh, isn't this interesting? Oh, great. All right, so maybe. This is to commemorate the fact that the very short introduction has now reached 500 titles in the series. There's actually on this thing a picture of the whole library. Good Lord. 500 in the series. That's amazing. 9 million copies. So these have got to be finding an audience that doesn't know Wikipedia exists. So what have we got in this pile here? A very short introduction to measurement. A very short introduction to Leibniz. A very short introduction to pandemics. A very short introduction to Zionism. This is what's called a wide selection. A very short introduction to cognitive neuroscience. And a very short introduction to Asian American history. So they sent 6 books and managed with battleship in precision not to hit or even come close to any of my wheelhouses, which is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. Wonderful. Wow, a whole bunch of Oxford very short introductions. That's great. All right, what's this next one? This is a little Yale book. Czesław Miłosz. This is a translation of The Mountains of Parnassus. It's kind of a nice pink thing. This comes out in January. And it's the award of the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1980. Miłosz was one of the 20th century's most esteemed poets and essayists. This outstanding translation of his only hitherto untranslated work is a classic and a necessary companion volume for scholars and general readers seeking a deeper understanding of his themes. Written in the 1970s and published posthumously in Polish in 2012, Milosz's deliberately unfinished novel is set in a dystopian future. Okay, so those of you who are in Poland, those of you who are living in Poland, I would like to know what the Polish critical reaction was to this thing when it was published in Poland in 2012. So if you know that or can easily find it, let me know. I'd like to know, how was this received in Polish literary journals? Actually, while you're at it, you might want to let me know about Polish literary journals. That fascinates me. All right, well, one of these things. What is this? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, this is called Whiplash. And the subtitle is How to Survive Our Faster Future. And I got to tell you, I'm getting a little tired of books like this. these Chicken Little things that I don't see the purpose that they serve. You'll survive the faster future the exact same way you have all along, by adapting and learning and having fun. And this is like the 20th book. But it has a blurb by J.J. Abrams. So they're going squarely for the complete idiot demographic. The tools of our modern existence are getting faster, cheaper, and smaller at an exponential rate, just as billions of strangers around the world are suddenly just one click or tweet or post away from each other. When these two revolutions joined, an explosive force was unleashed that is transforming every aspect of society, from business to culture, and from the public sphere to our most private moments. Such periods of dramatic change have always produced winners and losers. When people saw the first moving film, they were both enchanted and terrified of the realness of the images. When they watched the scene of a train arriving at its destination, there was a mass exodus of spectators running for their lives in fear that they'd soon be crushed to smithereens by the oncoming train. Their brains could not comprehend how the creators were able to use technology to depict reality in such an extraordinary way. Brains couldn't comprehend it, huh? And you see an equivalent today? See people running from their cell phones? See people serving Baba Ganoush to their iPad because they think the relative they're Skyping is actually in the room? It's just... I believe in debate circles, it's known as straw manning, and it happens in these books all the time. This is due today, or any day now, December 6th. But I confess, it will have to work quite a bit to get past my knee-jerk dislike of being told that the world is ending and that I'm old. Or that I'm old and I should think the world is ending. Either one. Oh, look at that. Huh. Okay, this next one is from Nation Books, and it is due in April. And it's a reprint. Oh, my. It's a reprint of Eleanor Roosevelt's book, It's Up to the Women. So it's got an introduction by Jill Lepore, who's great, and this must have been in production, obviously before the result of the election. So, okay. All right, well, I haven't read It's Up to the Women in a long time, and I don't think I've ever read it all, so I will read this, even though it's now bitterly sad. This is just a lump of bitter sadness. Because it's not just that a highly qualified woman candidate for president lost to a totally unqualified candidate, not just politically unqualified, but totally unqualified in any way, just hauled in off the street, has no idea how many branches of government there are, how anything works, just as ignorant, as pig ignorant of the job as your average American. Not only did a highly qualified woman lose as candidate for president to such a person, but there will be no other highly qualified candidates who are women for president. So that was sort of it. That will never actually happen now. Nor will there be any more qualified candidates who are men. But We'll leave the political rantings for some other time, or maybe never, and we'll move on. This is a priority mail envelope with stamps on it. So this might have been sent to me by one of you. Or it isn't typically what publishers do. Let's see what this is. What is this? Now, this isn't typically what publishers do. This might be a publisher, it might be a small publisher. You're not supposed to make it hard for me. And you're also not supposed to make me come so close to physically destroying your book in order to see what it is. Well, it's a dog book. Roxy the Doxy finds her forever home. So please accept this complimentary review copy of Roxy the Doxy. This is a book to help children through adoption. Oh, good. Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, I will read this gladly. And if any of you out there have an adopted child who's fond of dogs, let me know. This could obviously go to you as soon as I'm done with it. All right, let's move on here. Reprinting Eleanor Roosevelt. I've been saying it for weeks now, and I'll repeat it on this channel because you're all accustomed to me bloviating. But I know it sounds supercilious, but I just can't imagine what it must be like to be a woman, especially a young woman, in America today. Not only was a fantastic candidate for president, no matter what I think of her ethically or personally, a fantastic candidate for president, defeated. But she was defeated in the most vilely sexist way by a person who is intent on dismantling your civil rights, almost from A to Z. Probably better to retreat into the sanctity of books. It's irritating, that's all. And and I'm not speaking from a high poobah stance of untouchability, saying, oh, it's a shame you're going to have it rough. Because the same candidate has declared open war on journalism. So we're all kind of in the same boat. Anyway, obviously on my mind this morning. Sorry. This next one is Terry Mort, the finished copy of Hemingway at War. There's a small raft of Hemingway books coming out here at the end of the year and at the beginning of next year. A little Hemingway revival. I've got like 7 or 8 of them lined up. So I think this is out already, but it's the tip of the iceberg. There's lots coming out, which is fine by me. I like it. I always like it when the publishing world has these sort of unplanned confluences about a subject, and Hemingway's a very fruitful subject. I just got a book the other day, soldier, sailor, writer, spy, something like that, about Hemingway's espionage. I didn't open it on camera, I don't think. Oh my god. I shouldn't have mentioned it. The Jens will be upset. Oh god. In 2017, I promise, we'll open everything together. Until you're bored spitless, as the saying used to be. All right, what's this next one? The Violent American Century. War and Terror Since World War II. This is by John Dower. Seems like a small press. Haymarket Books. It is a small press. Okay, but they're good. They're very smart. They have a good editorial team. The winner of numerous national prizes for his historical writing, including the Pulitzer and the National Book Award, Dower draws heavily on hard data and internal U.S. planning and pronouncements in this concise analysis of war and terror in our time. In doing so, he places the U.S. policy and practice firmly within the broader context of global mayhem, havoc, and slaughter since World War II. Okay. Fantastic. It's a subject that interests me and that enraged me years ago when Steven Pinker came out with his incredibly stupid book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, where he argues from his gated community in Cambridge, Massachusetts, that not only are humans getting smarter, But the byproduct of humans getting smarter is that they're getting less violent, and that a statistical analysis of the 20th century shows that. I read the book agape from start to finish. The 20th century could easily and accurately be called the age of genocide. An average 100-year span in American history, in East and West across the world, maybe 2 genocides, maybe 1, maybe 2. The 20th century, 17. Anyway, I think I feel a sneeze coming on. Yes, the violent American century, war and terror since World War II, both war and terror, in the massive uptick since World War II, with the flooding of the world with cheap automatic weapons. What do we got here? All right, so this is Unquiet Ghosts, another novel by Glenn Mead. In 2003, $8 billion in Baghdad disappeared during the Iraq War. True story. No one knew where it went until now. Kathy Kelly has the perfect life, 2 beautiful children and a loving husband. But one night, her world is shattered. Her husband and their beloved children vanish during a violent thunderstorm on a charter flight. They are presumed dead, and the wreckage is never recovered. Kathy rebuilds her life and falls in love again. But then she discovered evidence that suggests her first family is alive, and that her husband deliberately disappeared with their children. When Kathy receives a clue about their whereabouts, she sets out to find them and the truth behind their disappearance. Not seeing much of Iraqi gold there, but that's all right. Okay, so this is a heart-pounding thriller inspired by actual events. I think the inspired there is probably very loosely applied. Who knows? Let's see. Well, let's move on. This is a Harvard University Press title. Oh, okay. Our very first bullseye. Our very first bullseye. This is by Noah Magor, and it is Brahmin Capitalism. This is a printed copy of something that I've already read, but I'm so happy to have it. The subtitle is Frontiers of Wealth and Populism in America's First Golden Age, but it's not just wealth and populism. It's Boston. It's Boston money. Hence the title, Brahmin Capitalism. Oh, very nice. Okay. All right. So what have we got here? Tracking the movement of finance capital towards far-flung investment frontiers, Noam Magor reconceives the emergence of modern capitalism in the United States. The book reveals the decisive role of established wealth in the transformation of the American economy in the decades after the Civil War. This provocative history of the Gilded Age explores how the moneyed elite in Boston, the quintessential East Coast capitalism, leveraged their wealth to forge transcontinental networks of commodities, labor, and transportation. Okay, well that sounds boring, but it's not. It's not boring at all. This comes out in February. It's true. The Brahmin plutocracy established themselves. They did a lot more than they're ever given credit for. This is all about their financial clout, but the intellectual clout was unimaginably broad. Impossible even to acquaint people with it today, because almost all of the names in that intellectual world are forgotten. All the people who lived in Back Bay and Beacon Hill and walked to the Athenaeum every day for their 20 books and wrote groundbreaking, paradigm-setting works of socioethnography, of biography, of panoramic history, of archaeology, of just science. The lecture halls in Boston were full to capacity, people standing in the aisles to listen to these people. And the books that came off the presses were so influential. And they're all forgotten now. All the men had 3 names. The women were doing incredible pioneering work in everything from microbiology to astronomy, and no one remembers them. So, they're partially mentioned in this book, but it's a little frustrating. So I would actually look forward to this is Brahmin capitalism. I would love a book on Brahmin intellectualism. That would be great. Somebody ought to write that. Capture the spirit of adventure that was all throughout the city in the years after the Civil War. Okay, now this next one is The Zero and the One by Ryan Ruby. That is what the cover looks like. This is a novel. Owen Whiting, working class student from small town England, feels out of place and outclassed as he enters his first semester at Oxford University. There, Owen meets Zachary Fodern, a fellow philosophy student and Owen's antithesis, rich, American, and sure of himself. Zach quickly asserts his influence over Owen, introducing him to a world of experiences he has only read about, and pulling him into Zach's search for a mysterious book written by a reclusive philosopher. Zach and Owen dare each other to transgress boundaries of convention and morality until Zach proposes the greatest transgression of them all, a suicide pact. But when Zach's plans go horribly awry, Owen is left to pick up the pieces and unintentionally reveals Zach's darkest secrets and hidden motives. Okay. This is a gothic twist on the classic tale of Innocents Abroad. That's what the publicity material says. That does sound intriguing. This is due in March. And who is Ryan Ruby when he's at home? He was born in 1983. It's the last time I combed my hair, so he's very young. His fiction and criticism have appeared in a variety of literary magazines, including The Baffler, Conjunctions, Dissent, Lapham's Quarterly, and N+1. He has translated 2 novellas from the French. He lives in Berlin. So he's some sort of hoity-toity intellectual. Can't stand them. I wonder if the book's any good, though. Doesn't mention if he's written any other books. Let's read the first little bit, shall we, and see what we find. After all, this video is going to be hideously long anyway, so let's see. Let's see how he starts off his book. A British Airways jet high above the coast of New England. So he starts it off with a sentence fragment. Okay. The captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign, but mine remains strapped tightly across my waist. My fingers clutch the armrests, knuckles white. The air hostess, we don't call them stewardesses. She's an air hostess. Evens her trolley with our row and bestows a sympathetic elevation of her eyebrows on me as she clears mini bottles, plastic cups, crumpled napkins off my tray. Mini bottles, plastic cups, crumpled napkins off my tray. There's an "and" you're missing there. It's okay, but that's right. The other passengers regard me with caution. When I stumbled back from the toilet, I found that the young mother in my row had exchanged places with her tow-headed, round-faced toddler, who now stares obliviously at the white fields outside the window, in order to provide him with a buffer zone in case I were to do something erratic. Perhaps I'd been mumbling to myself again. A dangerous perhaps. Okay. All right. I tried to apologize to her, to explain that I rarely drink so much. It's only on planes that... ... But no luck. She doesn't speak English. Okay. All right. So that's the first paragraph of The Zero and the One. I think we can agree it's not good. That is bad, clunky prose. And if, as the narrative goes on, we are told, as the summary indicated, that was from the point of view of someone who was born and raised in England, then those of you who were born and raised in England will spot half a dozen problems I did. That is the diction, phraseology, and mind frame of someone who's born and raised in America. And if you haven't done that job on your first paragraph, how's the rest of the thing going to play out? But who knows? We'll give it a try. The epigraph at the beginning is repetition. If something happens once, it may well never have happened at all. Unfortunately, nothing ever happens only once. Everything is repeated, even nothing. Oh, okay. All right. That epigraph is not attributed to anybody, and that's a good thing because it's utter nonsense. So who would want it attributed to? Nonfiction November. I read only nonfiction. Let's move on, shall we? There's this thing. We're getting closer to the box. So, what is this? Oh, all right. This recovers quite a bit. Look at how pretty it is, even in the review copy. This is Scars of Independence, America's Violent Birth. Look at that. And this is by Holger Hook. He was a bounty hunter in Star Wars, wasn't he? Who or what is Holger Hook when he's at home? He's the J. Carroll Amundsen Professor of British History at the University of Pittsburgh. Anybody can be that. He was born in Germany, studied at Freiburg and Cambridge, and received his doctorate in modern history from Oxford. Okay. When we think of the American Revolution, we think of brave patriots coming together to resist a tyrannical ruler in defense of noble ideals. That's 3 straw men right there in one sentence. It's a stirring narrative, and one of the founders did their best to encourage after the war. That's not true. Point out one founding father who did that, who tried to encourage that idea. Not one. But as historian Holger Hook argues, having failed to capture Luke Skywalker, the truth is far more complex. The revolution was not only a high-minded battle over principles, but also a profoundly violent civil war, one that shaped the nation in ways we've only begun to understand. Okay, all right. Slow down there, Seymour. Some of us understand it quite well, and it's not like you're the first person to write about it. but it doesn't matter. This looks vigorous. This comes out in May. It's a long time from now. I will read it soon, and very likely write about it. It's a Steve book, as some of you will know by now. I was about to say some of you know me in real life, but all of you know what Steve books look like by now. All right, let's move on. Oh, okay, very good. This is a made-up story, but this was really good. This is the finished copy of History of Wolves by Emily Friedman. It's nice. It's bleak. Nice bleak. She grew up in Minnesota and currently resides in the Finger Lakes region of New York. Boy, that's a glutton for punishment. You don't want to go to Florida? Her fiction has appeared in a wide variety of journals, and she holds a PhD in literature and creative writing from the University of South California. Oh, right, so she spent time in South California. That's good. Look at this. Look at all this stuff. Good Lord. The reason this is these pub sheets are so big is because it has an interview, but it also has a little flurry of advanced blurbs, because this was really good and people are starting to pick up on that. So this comes out. When does this come out? I read it so long ago. She's got a wide array of personal appearances. This comes out in January, the very first week of January. So this will be setting the tone for the year. That's good. The History of Wolves. Highly recommend it. And then go on from here. This is a hideously long video. That's what I get from missing a day. Sorry about that. We are approaching the end. The only problem is that this is yesterday's mail, so there's also today's mail to think about. Okay, this is also the very beginning of January. I feel sorry for those books because everybody's away. All the reviewers and editors are away on January 3rd. There's not going to be anybody around but me. And everybody's already planning their coverage, so I don't know what kind of coverage this is going to get. This is Adventures in Form and Content by Albert Goldbarth. Looks like that on the front. Looks like that on the back. And it's a collection of essays. That's a hard sell anyway. It's a sharp, insightful exploration of the dualities of gender and sex, body and mind, youth and old age, health and illness, and the hilarious and the grave, and of course, form and content. I read this when I got the advanced copy, and let's just say the formal discursive essay is a dying art form. But there's a good chapter on the Roman poet Catullus. So let's see. We're getting to the end. This is the last one before the box, and then I will do whatever I can to upload this monstrosity. the thing I tried to upload yesterday didn't. So, oh, okay. We've seen this before. This is due in January as well. This is the finished copy of The War Within, Diaries from the Siege of Leningrad. which I did not read. I got an advance copy and sent it off right away. I bet you can guess to whom. So I will read this. I will read the finished copy. I remember when I was just sort of fiddling around with it, looking at the front and back, I remember thinking, what happened to that child? And I still wonder. Looking at the picture, I still wonder that. I wonder if there's any way even to know. And then we get to the box, the end of our long labors here. We'll see what this is. Could be something big. Big is always nice. Oh, and it is. It's something big and right up my alley. It's the finished copy, the lovely finished copy of How Shakespeare Put Politics on the Stage, with the subtitle Power and Succession in the History Plays. Now, the problem here is that How Shakespeare Put Politics on the Stage is itself a subtitle. Someone should have titled the book. Someone should have given the book a title instead of using a description as the title. But it doesn't matter. This is by Peter Lake, and it's just what it says on the. I read this already and loved it. It's a fantastic Shakespeare book, and it's due in January as well. Okay, it's just a study of the subtleties involved in Shakespeare's history plays, which get overlooked. Shakespeare's history plays, aside from Henry V, get overlooked just in general, which has always bothered me because I love them. This is one of the better studies of them that I've read in decades. So if you have a Shakespeare fan or are one yourself, I highly recommend it. And there you go. There you go. That is an absolutely Truckosaurus book haul to make up for no videos yesterday. I doubt this will be the last you see of me today, BookTube, but we'll wrap this up for now. Thank you very much.